Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Preserving History and Democracy. My name is Cynthia Diaz, Communications Coordinator for the Doña Ana County Clerk's Office. Today I am joined by our Election Supervisor, Janice Giron. How are you, Janice?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we have some pretty cool guests today. Do you want to introduce them for us?
I can try, and they'd probably do a better job than I would. But our guests today are District 1 County Commissioner Christopher Schaljo, I always mess up his name, Hernandez, and District 5 County Commissioner Manuel Sanchez.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. We're good. How are you all?
I'm doing
It's
good.
exciting. I was like, get to watch you all. Now get to be
Now you
on
get
the
to
hot
be
seat.
behind the
Yeah,
camera.
this is exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you guys start by telling us a little bit about yourselves? I don't know who wants to start.
So I grew up in Anthony. My grandparents basically kind of grew up in were the ones that came over from Mexico, worked the farms, and kind of my parents were the ones that kind of, between my family, but they're the ones that set me up to really end up going to college and doing all that. But I grew up in Anthony, and then at about sixth grade, ended up moving to El Paso, and then graduated from high school there. Went to get my mechanical engineering degree at MIT. And then when I graduated in 2001 with that, I worked with General Electric in their aircraft engines division because I wanted to go aerospace. Was always excited. We always had White Sands, the shuttle landing back in like 1982. And so I was always loved. Yeah, I know, guys. I know you guys. You weren't alive. You weren't born yet.
I wasn't born yet. Yeah.
Awkward. But I always had this love for space, so I got into the aerospace industry. Eventually, and as a kind of turn in, I went and started working in the power industry, also with GE. But that was my opportunity to move back after 11 years. After graduating, I was able to get a job back here in Las Cruces, and so I've been here since 2011. And it's exciting to be back and get to raise my family here. So, and I have my wife and my three daughters that are all part of that circle that we have here. So
Awesome. How about you, Chris?
So, little different story. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I moved down to finish my undergrad at NMSU in 2010, and I never left. So I have a degree in government and an emphasis in public policy. I almost got a minor in French, which is really kind of weird. If you ask my mom, she's not happy about that still to this day. But yeah, so been down here since 2010, originally from St. Louis. Had a different career path to get here, got involved heavily with party politics. After like county and state party politics, decided to run for commission. I have three beautiful children who are all in the Las Cruces public school system, and small business owner, and rocking and rolling in that way. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So, we just started a Spanish language Doña Ana County social media. Do you want to start the French?
I know a little bit of French, too. I'll help you out. Yeah.
Will you?
Yeah,
Good. Let's do it.
perfect. We got this.
Can you both tell us something about your role that most residents would be surprised to learn?
I think the amount of time we put into the role. A lot of people just see us on 2 times a month and on the dais here in the commission chambers, but there's a lot of behind the scenes that goes into it. There's committees that we participate in, Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley. We do South Central Solid Waste Authority. There's each one of the commissioners serves on about 5 to 7 boards. So that's all additional meetings that we go to, not to mention, when we try to reach out with our residents, and then just working with county management, trying to keep up with things. So it's a lot more work than I think a lot of people tend to think, and so on. So I think, sometimes that gets lost in the mix, and people just see us as a person sitting on the dais.
So I'm not going to lie, I kind of got a little sneak preview while I was sitting here and I read it, and I've been thinking long and hard about this question in particular. And I think it's different because we live it every day. So it's really hard to kind of think of what maybe anyone in our community wouldn't necessarily pinpoint that we work on. But I think most recently we've had a lot of these conversations where we've been having to go up to Santa Fe a lot. Now that legislative session kicked off, Manny, you just got back yesterday. I was up there last week. And I think something that really kind of hits home is that it's not Doña Ana is not just like a singular object in southern New Mexico. It's much bigger than that. It's part of a huge, broader network of counties, elected officials, and we all kind of have to work together to figure out what policies really work for us and work for our community members. So that's something I think that's a little different, is that we're much bigger than what we think we are. We touch the most northern part of the state, and we are the most southern part of the state. And I think our advocacy up in Santa Fe with our legislators, and even going to DC and kind of highlighting what the needs are down here, is out of the norm. I don't think people think of that sometimes.
I'm glad you brought up those trips, because I hear a lot, like, people don't understand exactly what elected officials are doing when they're traveling. So I think that's a good point to bring up.
Yeah. What would you guys say are the biggest challenges facing Doña Ana County right now?
I think when we're looking at infrastructure needs, we had the flooding in Vado, and we were able to act and react really quickly on that. And we got to see the community come together, what we can do as a county government to really help people. But at the end of the day, the bigger concerns are going to be infrastructure, and that's going to be, floodwaters, wastewater, water, electric, high-speed internet, anything that has to do with the quality of life that you have on a daily basis, I think is something that is the biggest challenge. And not just for Doña Ana County, but I think it's for every single municipality and county government in the state of New Mexico, probably even across the United States, that's something that we're constantly working on. And as soon as we get something up and going, we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, another path forward or what we can do next to better serve everyone.
The infrastructure piece has been something that I almost feel like, since I've been in office, it's like we're constantly having to address it, because we haven't addressed them for so long in the county. We're almost paying, we've always try to make and try to stretch dollars, do the best we can. And when we work with our legislators to get capital outlay, it's like, man, okay, let's cobble it together. By year 3, we'll have enough, and then we'll be able to go do this project. And that's how we've always approached it. And it's been a challenge, because it's like you want to be able to do all of the above, because you hear from our residents, you see that they need it, and how do you do that? And I think the other part has been, we've had a period of growth in the county right now, which is great, because we're seeing our tax revenues increase, which is allowing us to do more. But we also have the challenge of, as we continue to grow, how do we as a county grow our services, grow all these different things that we're doing. And so I think it's been a unique challenge. But I'm excited that that's a challenge that we have, and not the opposite, because some of the more rural counties are having people move away, and so they're seeing declines. And how do you work with that? And so, like I said, it's a challenge. We've seen a lot of progress on it, but like I said, it's those challenges that I think we have to struggle with, balance, and figure out how we prioritize. But I'll say one of the really cool things is having our group of commissioners that we have. I know, serving with Commissioner Schaljo-Hernandez, we don't all agree 100% of the time, but what's been really cool is that we can all talk with each other, have conversations, and figure out, okay, how does something I need in my community, can you help me support this? Or vice versa, can I help you support something? Because it's not always just what I need in my district. It really is what's the good for all of Doña Ana County.
I'm trying to figure out how to reword this question, because it sounds kind of, I don't know how it sounds. I'm just going to say it. Why do county commissioners matter in a functioning democracy?
So when I hear you ask that question, I think of it in like the levels of government. And, you have your municipalities. If you live within a municipal bounds, like the city of Las Cruces, the town of Mesilla, Sunland Park, Anthony Hatch, you have a municipal government, right? And then the larger overarching one would be your county government, which is what Commissioner Sanchez and I are a part of. And then you have different levels above us, right? And why we matter is because a lot of times we're dealing with, especially in Doña Ana County, a very rural, sprawling community. It's not like Bernalillo County, where you have Bernalillo County and the city of Albuquerque, and they are a very homogeneous, solid unit. With us, we have several municipalities within our county bounds that we're working with. And without Commissioner Sanchez and I and our fellow board members, there would be so many services that would be lacking for our residents. Those living in La Union or Radium Springs or in Chaparral or, La Mesa, we provide much needed services to those individuals. So in democracy, we're that first level of kind of real overarching services and support for residents. And without us, we're not going to, we have our state legislators, our senators, and our representatives, and they bring home, the money to our communities that need it most. But the county is the one that are making sure those projects come to be. We're the ones that really kind of do the outreach, making sure that we're providing the much needed resources to our individuals. So we're much needed.
The other thing I think for our residents is we're kind of that advocate for them, whether it be on the county level, the state level, or even in the municipalities. I know, so generally the way the county government works is we cover the areas in the county that are not within a city. So the cities are generally run by the city councils. They have their own rules and laws, but we coordinate with them constantly, and I think that's one of the things that we try to do. And I kind of mentioned earlier in terms of like the amount of time we put into this job. It's like, I say job because that's really how I've always approached this. This isn't like me being, Mr. Elected Official. This is a job that I try to take seriously. People expect me to do a good job for them. I know you're never going to please everybody, but we try to do a good job. And when you have someone that has a job that doesn't show up to work, isn't getting it done, then something's missing. And in this case, it's the people of the district, of the county, are missing that advocate for them. And so I think we try as commissioners to come in, put in the work, have community meetings, be there to listen, because sometimes what people need is something as simple as, hey, my road needs to be paved. It's been a long time. And they call, and then we're able to take care of them. And they're like, that was their one thing that they asked for, and we're able to do it. And it just completely changes their commute moving forward that they've just struggled with. So it can be something small like that, but really, I think it's important because, like I said, we're their advocates. We're the ones that are their voice, and we get to go, try to engage on behalf of Doña Ana County for them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of democracy, because we are the Preserving History and Democracy podcast, what role do county commissioners play in supporting elections?
I'd say the big one, the two big, obviously, are the budget. I think we work with the county clerk and approve the budget that they need to be successful. So I know working with Dr. Askin the past few years, I think that's been a big piece of it. We're the ones that approve the electoral results. Dr. Askin and and the whole staff put a lot into what they do with an election and the integrity that goes into it. And I think that's where the other part that comes in is kind of the unspoken part, unofficial part, but give that support because, I know that's one of the things that I always appreciate when I first came in was, you all took me in, showed me this is how this happens. This is what the machine looks like. This is the processes we follow. And you all educated me. And so I appreciate it because they said we can advocate on your behalf, but I think that's how we generally as commissioners can help.
Commissioner Sanchez did a great job at kind of explaining exactly what we as commissioners do when it comes to that, but I'm going to take it in like a little bit of a different way. Besides you all being like the front line of elections, defending it day after day, even when there's not an election going on, you all are in the trenches getting it done. But in recent history, we've actually had in the state of New Mexico, where county clerks and the Board of County Commissioners in their county are actually at odds over the election. And it literally winds up in a very public battle. And I can't really imagine not, being there hand in hand with our election officials for any of our elections. It doesn't show trust in the system. And actually it kind of does exactly the opposite. It would make me not want to go out and vote. It would make me not want to participate in the process. So something that we're able to do is, ask those important questions, get the answers, take it to heart, and then be able to feel really great about the decisions that we get to make when the election results come in front of us and we get to send it on up to the Secretary of State. So I just want to say thank you to you all and the staff, because being able to be there, answering the questions, showing us the ropes, doing the work, every time I get up there and I hear you all talking to us about the election, I have so much confidence that it's being done. And that way I can share that confidence with constituents when they call, with people when I used to work as a voter protection agent during election seasons. And I always knew that the people that were there at the voting location was doing a great job. I believed them. I trusted them. They would talk to me. It was never this heated battle, and it always felt good. So I think that's something that we also get the privilege of doing, is really elevating the work that you're all doing to say, hey, we know that Doña Ana County puts on good elections.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, always.
I can honestly say that it's much appreciated that you guys see the work that our office, our staff, our team does put in for every election. I'm going to turn the tables a little bit. So our office is currently working on procuring a mobile voting unit for emergency situations and other events happening within the county. Why is investing in things like a mobile voting unit or early voting locations, vote by mail things, why is that important for the county?
Two things. I remember when you all were applying for the FEMA grant for the mobile voting unit. I think expanding voting access is huge. It's something that we should all care about. Being able to go to any precinct in the county and vote is huge. Whenever you can put a voting location in someone's backyard, it just expands the trust, it expands the access. So I'm all about it. I came from St. Louis, right? And there was only one voting location within 10 miles of my house. So I remember always going to the same place, waiting in line 4 hours, literally 4 hours, to vote. And, I did it proudly. Here in Doña Ana County, I can walk into a voting location, either A, not have a wait, or B, have a very, very small wait and be able to cast my vote. But also with us having expanded voting timeframes with early voting and mail-in and all those great services, all we're doing is expanding access. So I think always having the mobile voting unit or anything like that, or going car side for someone that can't get out, it's huge. And it speaks volumes to, we as New Mexicans, we care. But also I can't wait to see that mobile voting unit go to a middle school and put on a little pizza, hot dog, nachos election and showing kids, this is what this is. This is why this matters. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be the coolest.
Which is something we've actually started at our locations last month, so we're going to continue it.
Yep.
But I'm hoping that, we'll be able to kind of take it on the road to the schools and let more kids see what it's all about.
I will drive the bus.
One of the things that I'll say is it's accessibility, right? If things are accessible, people are more likely to do them. And I think that's one of the things that we've seen is, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier where you said we have so many different communities here. Of course, Las Cruces is the biggest city in the middle of the county, but you go 40 miles south, 40 miles north. And, that's the part where, I look at my district when you have all the way from here in Las Cruces all the way up to Garfield and all those communities in between. And almost every one of those communities has a voting location. And so to make it so accessible is a game changer. And I think that's one of the things that y'all have done an amazing job of, as well as here in the state of New Mexico. That's something that we encourage. But I think like you were talking about, having the getting the kids involved. And I know the clerks team came out to Vista Middle School when they were trying to choose a name for
the
their
street.
for the street.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I appreciate it because we had some folks from the community there that said, hey, they want to look at putting a name on a street that there's no street name on it. And so they said, but we want to make it into a civic lesson. And it was so cool that you all engaged them, because it's that engagement with kids that then they grow up knowing, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I can just go, I can go vote. Because I didn't vote in my first election until I was I think my first one I was 25, 26. Yeah. I just never thought of it, because it's just what does my vote matter? Yeah. And you start realizing my vote does matter, especially if you were around for the 2000 election, where you kind of started seeing some of those. But even here in the county, we talk about some of these votes that are within 30, 40 votes, or less, especially in the small communities. It's just a lesson that your vote matters, but that accessibility piece is huge for getting people to participate.
Absolutely. Speaking of kind of getting younger people involved, what's one thing you guys can do to kind of get kids or younger people involved with county government?
We just started our youth commission here at the county.
Fun.
That is going to be the number one way to get youth engaged with what we're doing here as a county government. I think we just got all the applications in from all the school districts, the at-home schools, all the charter schools. We had a great team here at the county that started the reach-out process, and we're actually going to start going through those to form the first youth commission here at Doña Ana County, and they're actually going to be charged with activities and looking at things that will directly affect youth in our community. It's going to be a game changer. People are going to finally feel, just like student government at your high school or at your middle school and all those things, understanding what the inner workings are, they're actually going to have a say, So when we're actually making decisions from the dais, we'll be able to say, Youth Commission said yes, so I say yes. We have that extra little kind of oomph to get things across the finish line. And this is going to be a first for us. This is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, that was good. I'm glad he got to do it, because I know this was something that Commissioner Schaljo-Hernandez was really excited about. I know, I think we both are really interested, especially because we have kids. Yep. We want to get them involved in the process. I'll give a shout out to LCPS when they have their own student representatives that join them on the dais for their school board. And so, they're not a voting member necessarily, but they'll ask them, hey, do you have an impact? What do you see in the schools? And I think that's important, because sometimes we forget that the youth have a different point of view. And so that's going to be, I'm really looking forward to having the youth commission. A quick story was, I think within my first few months of serving on the commission, we had a elementary class from Doña Ana Elementary that they were part of the Enlace group. It was the first time they had engaged in an elementary, and they came to show their project and to present to us. And it was really cool to see these third graders come and present about a road that they see issues with. And unfortunately we weren't I kind of chuckled because it was a really uplifting presentation. Actually, these kids are involved, man. And when the conversation, someone kind of poured cold water on it, saying, well, it's a private road, we can't do this, so sorry. And it's just wait a minute, man, this is it's you almost watching the kids in a movie, oh, these awesome, and then there's just nope, sorry.
Womp womp.
Yeah, it's like seeing the little kids going up for a basket, and then the adult comes over and smacks it. Oh. I was
We've
anyway.
All seen that movie, by the way.
But no, I mean, joking aside, but it was still really cool to see, and I got to go talk with that class, and they talked a little more about how they got involved and what it was. But you get to hear they have voices too, and so wanting to engage them is exciting. I know we're always trying to find those opportunities. So this is going to be that way for us to do that. So
Exciting.
That
Excited
does
to
sound
see it.
exciting. I'm so glad that you
Yeah.
guys are starting that. I
It's gonna be fun.
don't think I've
Yeah.
really heard about that anywhere else. So, but
Yeah,
maybe
great
we
job.
can find something for them too. We do let 16 and 17-year-olds work at the
Yep,
polling
the
locations as
internship
clerks.
program.
So,
Oh, no, it's
you
in
can
the-
send them
not the
over to us.
department. I thought you were going to say the internship program too.
yeah,
And we
that
do
too.
have interns, right?
Well,
for
Jacob
the
is
county?
actually, he
Yeah.
started off as an
Jacob,
intern.
yeah.
Jacob
so
did
Yeah.
start out as an intern. I
he's a
remember
great
that.
testament to how that works out. Like, if you're really dedicated and something you want to get involved in, I mean, if you do a great job.
We're never
then-
gonna let him go.
I
He's
know. I'm
stuck
sorry,
here
Jacob.
Forever.
Forever. So that's awesome. We're excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. We've always done so every year. I think even before I was a commissioner, I got asked to speak to the junior leadership that the chamber does, and they come every year and they go around with. I think Anita takes them around
Oh, cool.
from the PIO's office, and they go and they see DASO, and they learn about all the different departments and what we do here, and we take them into the chambers and we let them, ask questions of us. And I've done it literally. I think the last 4 years I've done it, and I love it. It is the coolest to hear like what they want to talk about and like what their concerns are, because they're not concerns that I have. And I'm just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like if my 11-year-old is here right now, she would totally agree with you. And I'm just like, I wonder how we can do this from a county standpoint. It definitely challenges you.
Well, and we did it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but there was an event a couple of months ago, maybe before the election, where some of the kids from one of the elementary schools got to come in, and they sat on the dais and they
Oh, that's
did like a
I got a picture from that. Yeah, no, that was awesome.
their own meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Raices de Saber. They're the
Oh,
ones who
okay.
did our
Yeah.
sticker.
Our sticker contest.
I was
Yeah.
upstairs
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they went. and
Yeah,
did a
it was a
tour
lot
of
of
everything.
fun. I mean, I think that's the way to really just get them involved and make them feel heard. Because I think when you're a little kid, you think, oh, doesn't matter. My parents make these decisions. But when
Yeah.
they grow up, they're the ones
Well,
making these decisions.
And I'll say, one of the things too is to think like, when you come in for like a commission meeting and we say, hey, come on up, we want to make it accessible to people come and talk during public input. But when you go up, you realize you're by yourself at the podium looking up at these people. It's intimidating. I had never spoken to, I had never given public input before I was elected until I was, hold on, trying to do the math here, carrying the ones and stuff. I was, let's see, I was 39. 39-year-old man comes up to give public input. First time. I was nervous. And I'm, you know what I mean? I'm a grown man. But you imagine kids coming up to, seeing mics
Yeah.
and people up above them. And I can see how it'd be very intimidating. So if you can make it and kind of demystify it so that then they realize that, hey, I can do this. This is no big deal. Because, these people are the same. They're people in our community. Yes, they happen to be there to make the decision, but we're just people in the community, and we do want to hear from them.
For the sake of everyone's time, I know you guys are busy. I think we have one last question for you all. And I think it's an important one because it kind of sets up for years down the road.
Will we come back on your show? The answer is yes. we
Always
will.
come
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
You can always
Thank you for
come back
asking
on
that
our
question.
show.
I appreciate it.
But what we really want to know is what success for Doña Ana County looks like to you in the next 5 or 10 years.
So the county just did that historic thing, that the thing about the Go Bond, where we just passed, literally 71% of the voters agreed to our Go Bond question 1, and Go Bond question 2 also passed by huge margins. I think the success of Doña Ana County is going to be seeing that Go Bond really uplift every single community in Doña Ana. I think we're going to see huge monumental investments in the quality of life of our residents, making sure that yes, the city of Las Cruces is great. They have great amenities. Those parks are awesome. You know, the East Mesa Rec Center is great. Going to the natatorium is so much fun. But let's do that in different parts of our county to where our community members, our kids, our students, our grandkids, whatever it is, can really appreciate the fact that they live, work, and thrive in Doña Ana County, right? So that individual, I was just in La Mesa last week at the La Mesa Lions dinner. They had a little meeting and we were talking about the Go Bond, and they're all excited because they're going to be able to say, you know, hey, they were asking, like, we want to have a pickleball court at the La Mesa Community Center. And I was like, okay, like, I see you pickleballers. Like, let's do this. And I think for once, like, we're not going to be piecemealing. You know, Commissioner Sanchez said it great. You know, we're always asking for money, is trying to put together a project, and we're getting, like, 500,000 here, and then next year we're getting 1.2 million. You all had extreme success with the warehouse when we got that funded, right? But that was years in the making. Imagine just being able to turn a key and saying, we got this, right? Being able to go to a community meeting and be like, oh, you want that playground? Like, we got you. Like, you invested in us. You trusted us to do this. Now let us show you that we're going to actually get it done. I think it's going to be great. Like, I am so excited. That's how I'm going to measure the success of this commission and future commissions, is putting that money to work and really showing the community that what they agreed to and the fact that they believed in us so much is just going to expand tenfold. Like, people are going to want to stay here. They're going to want to live here with us. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's one good way to put it. But I'll say, like, for me, I feel like we've already had success to where we're at now, because I think from where we were at when I first joined in 2019 to now, we have, you know, and this is all just little things for me, is like, because it was just stuff that I felt like we needed to push. We have a strategic plan that puts out, like, 5 years out, kind of what our goals are for every department. So we have a strategy. It's not just like, I felt like every year we'd go in and whatever the hottest thing was, we would take care of it and move on. And then we'd see what happens next year. But now we're trying to think a couple years, actually 5 years in advance, to say, okay, we're not going to do it in year one, but then we can find funding in year 2 or year 3. That changes the way we operate and how we do things in Doña Ana County. So that's one, because we always felt like I felt like we were reactive, and now we want to be a little more proactive. I think the idea of the Go Bond, to be able to truly bring quality of life initiatives, the rec centers, the amphitheater, stuff that our communities have been craving for such a long time. But I think all part of that goes into economic development. How do you tell a company, this is the perfect place to come set up shop? And you do that by saying, look, you don't have to just live in Las Cruces. Like the commissioner was saying, you can live in La Mesa, you can live in Hatch, you can live any part of the community. And we have amenities. Your people can live throughout the county, have a good quality of life, and you can do that. I think the other part, though, I'll say, is that one of the reasons and one of the big things for me has always been having jobs here locally. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned, I left. When I graduated, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. And I found out, you know what? I want to come back. Yeah. This is I love, you know, home is home. New Mexico is, you know, it's a unique place, and so, but the problem I had was trying to find a job. You know, I had to move. I moved around a lot, and when we were living in Houston, because my wife is from Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and after my daughter was born, she says, we need to get closer to family, because Houston was it's a haul from our family, and so she says, we got to find a job, or find a job in New Mexico, something. Even just getting our toe in New Mexico would be a start. And so, but it was tough. It was really hard. And I don't want people that want to move to New Mexico, that are from New Mexico, having to feel like they have to move away to have that good job or opportunity. So I think that for me is another measure of, if I can measure success, I think the quality of life piece and jobs is a huge piece of it.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Oh my God, were we your favorite guests?
Thank you.
Ever, yes.
Yeah,
I cannot
say how
confirm
much
nor
you love
deny
Oh.
whether you were my favorite guest or not.
That's
that
awkward.
would
I thought you were going to say you couldn't find the words to
express our love.
That would be showing favoritism.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Janice
can't
doesn't
do
do
that
that.
in my position.
Well, that does it for this episode of Preserving History and Democracy. We want to say thanks once again to our special guests, Commissioner Schaljo-Hernandez and Commissioner Sanchez. And thank you to Janice for joining us as well. Thank you to Jacob behind the camera for everything that he does. Make sure to follow us on our social media pages and make sure to listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll see you next time.